Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of El Toro's podcast. Yes, I am your host, El Toro. And as promised, I told you I was going to be back after WrestleMania Weekend. A lot of wrestling took place this past weekend with the start of NxT TakeOver Stand and Deliver for 2 nights. We had WrestleMania 2020 and 2021 as well, along with, obviously, nights 1 and nights 2 of WrestleMania 37. So there's a lot to talk about. Why don't we start getting into it? So there's not really too much to talk about the Hall of Fame, other than the fact that I'm so glad that they were able to finally do the Hall of Fame 2020 and 2021. The inductions that I was really looking forward to were obviously Molly Holly. It was long overdue. Anybody who's anybody in this business has known who Molly Holly is, the type of person that she is, the incredible talented wrestler that she has been and always will continue to be, and just an incredible human being in general. So I really was very happy to see her go into the Hall of Fame. Finally, she should have been in sooner, but I digress. That's just my personal opinion. The other one that I was actually really looking forward to seeing was RVD, Rob Van Dam, finally getting his time on the big stage, and the grandest one of them all, to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. So I was extremely excited to see him in there. The most humblest, realest guy you could ever meet or know. That's one of them. Eric Bischoff into the Hall of Fame. Well deserved for everything that he's done in the business. I still have his book, Controversy Creates Cash. It's a great read. I encourage everybody to actually purchase it and take a good gander of it. It's a really good reference book for a lot of the wrestling stuff that I touch on these days as well. There's so many other things on the Hall of Fame that I really liked as well. I love the fact that Titus O'Neil has been made a Warrior recipient for the Warrior Award. He really does so much for the community, and he very well deserved. I love it, and I was extremely happy about it. Those are really pretty much the biggest ones that I was super excited to. Everyone really earned and deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. The biggest one that I've been looking forward to for so long was Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog. And it was so great to actually see his son, Davey Boy Smith Jr., or Harry Smith, be there to help induct his father, along with Diana. And I forgot her name. The name is escaping me right now. But and that beautiful bulldog. Oh my gosh, you're cute. But that was the biggest one that I was really looking forward to. That he's finally in the Hall of Fame. God bless him. And that was really cool. So the Hall of Fame was really spectacular. Granted, it was with the Thunderdome, but it still gave a really great, amazing feeling. I loved it. But that's really about it about the Hall of Fame. I really didn't have too much to talk about in the Hall of Fame because there's so much to talk about as far as wrestling is concerned. And I wanted to start this off with NxT TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1. So why don't we start off with the kickoff show, or the pre-show, where we actually had Zoe Starks going up against Toni Storm. Now, the match started out okay. I really enjoyed the match. The fact that this was on the pre-show, it was definitely a good way to actually start it off. This is something that I have no objections for it to have been on the kickoff show or the pre-show, whatever it is that they call it these days. It started off really well. Some heel work from Toni Storm, a lot of good wrestling moves from Zoe. In the middle, it started to kind of like lose me a little bit because it was too much of a little bit of the same thing that they were doing. But then the finish was something I did not expect at all, with Zoe Starks picking up the win. So it was a very good match. Not the best match, but to get like the blood flowing and like watching, to get yourself into the mood to begin the show, it was all right. It was all right. So I would probably give that like a 2.5 Toros out of 5 Toros for that one. But why don't we start with the Pete Dunne versus Kushida match to see who's the best technical wrestler out there. Truth be told, I think they're both really good technical wrestlers. So this was just like who was going to make the one mistake to actually get the pinfall or the submission. It was a lot of back and forth, a lot of really... You had the British strong style and the Japanese strong style going up against each other. Every hit they gave each other sounded like there was bullets going off. I kept on grimacing my chest every time I heard a punch, a kick, a chop. Oh my gosh. But in the end, it was a really great technical match. It was a really good brawling match. In the end, obviously, Pete Dunne defeated Kushida via pinfall. So that was a really great match. I would give that a 4-star match, or 4 Toros. So now, for the Gauntlet Elimination match that would provide an opportunity for the North American Championship on night 2, you had Leon Ruff going up against the Isaiah Swerve Scott, going up against Bronson Reed, going against Cameron Grimes, and going up against Dexter Lumis, and then going up against L.A. Knight. I personally would have actually gone with a different result for the match. It was a lot of good back and forth. Who would help out who to try to eliminate one of the others, and it was a lot of betrayal. Although Dexter Lumis didn't really give a damn about anybody, and he just like the Psycho Killer just kept on really beating the crap out of everybody, especially going after Cameron Grimes. That was like really freaking hilarious. But in the long run, I think the person who won the match, Bronson Reed, it would have been my second choice. My first pick would have probably, but I'm biased and I like the guy. LA Knight would have been my very first pick to have won that match. But Bronson Reed, not bad. I liked it. I liked it. I liked how they went with that. And then the interview with Bronson Reed after the match, and then Johnny Gargano just popping out of nowhere. It was like saying typical Johnny Gargano. That was really, really good. But that was a very good match. I would give that a 4 Toros. So this match I was actually really looking forward to, the NXT United Kingdom Championship, where the champion Walter was going up against Tommaso Ciampa. Now, if there was anybody out there that could beat Walter, potentially beat Walter, I would have put my money on Ciampa, and I would have lost money on that. It was a match that you would have expected to see. A lot of chops, but a lot of really good reversals from Ciampa. Ciampa really outthought as much as he possibly could, but there was one mistake that Ciampa made that cost him the title. So Walter actually retained the belt on that one. That was a good 5 Toro match. The chops just had me grimacing in pain the entire match. Kept on clutching at my chest to the point where my son and my daughter walked in on me. Says, "Daddy, are you okay?" It's like, "Is your chest hurting?" It's like, say, "No, mine isn't. His is." And they looked and saw the big red welts on their on their chests, and then they just proceeded to exit stage left. It was really funny, actually. All right, the Tag Team Championship, the NXT Tag Team Champions. This was to crown new champions for the vacated titles. You had MSK going up against the grizzled young veterans against Legado del Fantasma. Not the result I would have wanted. I would have wanted Legado del Fantasma to actually have picked up the win and won the vacated titles. A couple of other people that I know would have wanted somebody else to have won the belt. I would not have picked at this present time MSK to be the brand new champions. I would have picked Legado del Fantasma. But it is what it is. The tag team match was really, really well put together. I would give this 4.5 Toros. Now, to end night 1 of Stand and Deliver NXT TakeOver, you had a championship match for the women's title where Io Shirai, the champion, went up against her biggest challenge yet of Raquel Gonzalez. If there was anybody who I would have put money on to defeat Io Shirai, I would have put all of my money into Raquel Gonzalez beating it, and I would have made a lot of money if I was a betting man. Because Raquel Gonzalez defeated and dethroned Io Shirai to become the NXT Women's Champion. And it is so amazing to actually have a Latina to be being a champion and to have a prestigious title as the NXT Women's Champion Championship title is. It's recognized all over the world now, and she's champion. So this is going to be one great, amazing run, and I'm interested to see what's going to come up next with Io Shirai. That is a 5 out of 5 Toros match. So, I'll give you my full rating at the end for nights 1 and 2. I don't think it's fair to actually just do how well night 1 was and how well night 2 is. I would probably just put them all together in one, simply because it's NxT TakeOver. Okay. So let's go into night 2 of NxT's TakeOver Stand and Deliver. So we start off the night unifying the NxT Cruiserweight Championships, where Santos Escobar goes up against Jordan Devlin. Now, this is no joke. This was probably the match that I expected to see, with a lot of technical prowess in reversals, wrestling moves, counters, chops, brawling, everything. Everything that happened in that match happened, and it was beautiful. And the results, it was pretty much exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted Santos Escobar to be the undisputed NxT Cruiserweight Champion. So I would give that 4 out of 5 Toros. So that was a really good match. Now, we had Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, the current NxT Women's Tag Team Champion, going up against The Way, two members of the Ray, and it went as well as I expected. Now, I am very, very biased. I wanted Shotzi Blackheart to retain the belt, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. But I felt like there was something still missing in that Tag Team Championship match. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't really that bad. So I'm probably going to have to give it maybe a 3.5 out of 5 Toros for that one. I was left wanting more, and I really, really wanted to see more out of that. So now the next match is the North American Championship match. Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Takeover, Johnny freaking Gargano going up against the challenger, Bronson Reed. Now, Bronson had one hell of a night 1, going up against all of those competitors in that gauntlet match. Johnny Gargano was fresh, but you can also say that he was cold. But his muscles were probably not as used or prepared for that match. While Bronson Reed's, he was already going on like a huge high in adrenaline from the night before. It could have gone either way. There were many, many chances for Bronson Reed to actually defeat Johnny Gargano. But in the end, Johnny Gargano proved why he is Mr. Johnny Takeover, and he retained the North American Championship. And that, my friend, is a 4.5 out of 5 Toros, in my opinion. Let's get to the NXT Championship match, where Karrion Kross went up against the champion Finn Balor for the title. Now, all of you guys know Karrion never lost the belt. He had to relinquish the belt due to an injury, which sounds extremely familiar to what happened with Finn Balor. When Finn Balor first won the Universal Championship, he had to relinquish it the following night because of an injury. So I had a humongous feeling of the results that was going to be for this match, where Karrion Kross defeated Finn Balor and has become the new NXT champion. This was a match that lived up to the hype. It lived up to the expectations and was probably one of the best matches. Now, keep in mind, I said best matches. We're not getting into the unsanctioned match, which is a different story altogether. I'd have to give that match a 4.5 out of 5 Toros. Now, speaking of unsanctioned matches, the last match of the evening put up people in the entire world to really, really keep a close eye on. This was the Kyle O'Reilly going up against Adam Cole match. It was unsanctioned. Anything goes. The only responsibility for the referee was to make the pinfall count or the submission call. This wasn't a match. This wasn't a fight. This was a war. It was a bloody freaking war. I was at the edge of my bed trying not to scream out loud because everybody was getting ready to sleep. This was during the week. And it took everything in me not to shout out loud. The result. I was very, very happy with the result of Kyle O'Reilly defeating Adam Cole in that match. That, my friends, for that unsanctioned match was 5 out of 5 Toros. Truly, truly incredible bout. And for the entire NxT Stand and Deliver pay-per-views, both night 1 and night 2, I'm going to give that a 4.5 out of 5 Toros. It delivered. It stood out and it delivered. Pun was intended. It was a great night of wrestling, those 2 nights. I really enjoyed it. And these guys really busted their asses. And I loved the fact that I got to see one of my referee friends killing it in both of those nights. I'm not going to say his name, but he knows who he is. And we go back as far as our Capital Wrestling days. I'm very, very proud of him. That's all I got to say. Okay, now for WrestleMania. Now, before I start getting into WrestleMania, I do want to bring up something that kind of annoyed me just a little bit. Now, one of the things that I always looked forward to for WrestleMania weekend was the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. It was always on the kickoff show, and that didn't happen. You know why? Because they made it happen on SmackDown on Friday. And I was not really that happy about it. They put together the Andre the Giant Battle Royal specifically for WrestleMania, and they took it away from WrestleMania. They could have had it in the pre-show. They didn't have a damn thing in the pre-show other than a lot of talking smack. Now, it's quite possible the only reason for them to have done that is possibly the following, and just hear me out on this. This just came to me just now. This is the first time that they've had fans, live fans, like for real people, in a stadium for WrestleMania. I mean, this is the first time that they've had live fans that didn't involve the Thunderdome, or some fans in NXT. I think that the reason they didn't do the kickoff show for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal because of the strict processes of the COVID restrictions. They wanted to make sure that everything was done correctly, properly, and nobody missed anything. They wanted to make sure everybody was there, sitting at their seats, ready to begin watching WrestleMania. That's probably why they did it on Friday. I would have just started getting people in a little bit sooner and making sure people were already there. But I get why they did it. Doesn't mean that I have to be happy about it. So I'm not going to give you the results of the Battle Royale simply because of that reason. So why don't we get started with the very, very first match that pretty much set the tone for the rest of the evening for night 1 of WrestleMania. I'm talking about the WWE Championship match, where the champion Bobby Lashley faced one-on-one against Drew McIntyre. Now, this was a brawl. This was a fight between two top wrestlers in the professional wrestling world today. It was a fight. There was a lot of good wrestling moves. In the end, the result was exactly what I expected it to be, and it lived up to the hype, where Bobby Lashley defeated Drew McIntyre via submission to retain the title. Now, Drew McIntyre did not tap out. Drew McIntyre passed the fuck out. Bobby Lashley made McIntyre pass out. So this is not over by a long shot, because Drew can easily say, I never tapped out. And then there's going to be a different match. I would love to see these two in an Iron Man match, because both of these guys can go. And truth be told, you've never seen two big guys like this have an Iron Man match. So why don't we try to make that happen, WWE? I'm making you money and not getting a dime out of that. That would be one hell of a match. An Iron Man match between Lashley and McIntyre for the WWE Championship? Let's make it happen. I would give that match a 4 Toros out of 5. It was really, really good. Now, the next match is the Tag Team Women's Championship Turmoil match. Like, the winner of this match would go on into night 2 to go up against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, the current Women's Tag Team Champions. So, we have the teams of Naomi and Lana going up against Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, going up against Natalya and Tamina, going up against the Riot Squad, going up against Carmella and Billie Kay. What can I say about this match? It started out really, really well. I personally would have actually had the Riot Squad start out the match and continue winning up until Natalya and Tamina came out, and then Natalya and Tamina beating them. I think that would have been the way I would have gone, because the way it went, I was left also wanting. It wasn't the best. I'm very happy with the result of Natalya and Tamina winning the Tag Team Turmoil match. I just wouldn't have put it in the order that they did it. Out of all these teams, besides Natalya and Tamina, the best tag team of all of these teams that I just mentioned here would have been the Riot Squad. It's just the flat, honest truth. So I feel like they should have actually started it, and that would have probably made my grade a little bit higher. I'm giving this a 3 out of 5 Toros. Now, oh boy, where do I even begin with this match? Cesaro versus Seth Rollins on WrestleMania. This delivered as a freaking WrestleMania memory. This was one of those matches. It was perfect. Everything about this damn fucking match was perfect. This match, you have to watch it. If you want to get involved in professional wrestling, you want to learn, no pun intended, you want to learn the ropes, you want to tell a story in the ring, watch Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. This is a 5 out of 5 Toros. Period. End of story. Don't at me. I really love that match. As a matter of fact, as soon as I'm done recording this this whole podcast, that's one of the matches I'm going to rewatch. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. And yes, I did record the time entries when they actually start on the Peacock network. So I will be going to that specific time to start watching the match from the start all the way to the end of that match. So yes, 5 out of 5 Toros. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. Cesaro defeating Seth Rollins via pinfall in that match. And I am so proud of Claudio. He got his WrestleMania moment, and I really see more of them to come into the near future. Okay, now the scariest match is the Raw Tag Team Championship where the New Day champions went up against AJ Styles and Omos. And I cannot believe how freaking tall that guy is. It's so hard to tell. AJ Styles is not a tiny guy. And seeing Omos wearing a suit, it kind of like made it a little bit like, all right, so he's a tall guy, but without his suit on, it's like, holy crap, he is humongous. If I put him next to probably the Great Khali, I would have a really hard time figuring out who's bigger from the two of these guys. It's fucking scary. And he is so powerful. So the New Day was doing actually a really, really good job making sure AJ never got to the corner. But the second I saw that tag come in, I knew the New Day was fucked. They were fucked. And sure enough, almost destroyed the New Day, pinning the New Day with a foot on the chest to become the Raw Tag Team Champions. That was a good 4 out of 5 Toros. Just honestly, it was a really, really good way to to win the belts that way, and it just showed how dominant he was, almost in Styles. Next match here, we have the steel cage match between Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman. It turned out to be a typical Shane McMahon WrestleMania moment steel cage match. Like any other match that he usually tends to have, he delivered and then some. And he told a great story in the ring with Braun Strowman. The finish was practically incredible. I really liked everything that happened in that match. Shane was beaten by Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman defeated him. I would give it a 4 out of 5 Toros. Okay, the match that is one of the matches that is being talked about by everyone in the entertainment industry today is the tag team match of The Miz and John Morrison going up against Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. Now, most of the celebrity matches that you've seen are subpar at best. They just go in, they do a couple of punches here and there, and then they tag themselves out, and that's the end of that. But not this one. Bad Bunny, when it was known that he was going to be competing at WrestleMania, and then it became a tag team match. Prior to even it becoming a tag team match, Homie was going every freaking day in the Performance Center, and he was training his ass off. He was really freaking serious, and he took this very, very seriously. It had been a dream of Bad Bunny to compete in the WWE. And now that he had that chance, he wasn't going to disappoint. Just like his work ethic is so amazing. He went every day to the Performance Center. He worked his ass off. And he was phenomenal. I mean, come on. Fucking a double suplex Falcon Arrow. Jumping off of the top ring. Cross body. A code red on the floor. Are you freaking kidding me? And it was done to perfection. This guy has done better than most independent wrestlers that I've seen just getting into the business. I love this match. He has made this match a 5 out of 5 Toros. And hey, not to put anything out of Damian Priest's hands either. He was phenomenal too. I love the fact that they both were able to share an incredible WrestleMania moment for that. So, great storytelling, really amazing match. That was probably one of the best matches on the card. And like I said, it was one of the best matches on the card because the next one, this one was like, oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps just getting ready to talk about this one. The main event of night 1, the SmackDown Women's Championship. Champion Sasha Banks going up against the challenger Bianca Belair. If there's anybody who's interested in learning about professional wrestling, this is another match you need to put onto your list to watch carefully. Study this match. Watch this match extremely carefully. Watch it forwards, backwards, pause it, take notes. Because this was an amazing wrestling match. There was a little bit of entertainment, obviously, because it is sports entertainment to the WWE. But those two women told a fuck... I'm getting emotional here just saying this. These two women wrestled their asses off, and they told a beautiful story in that ring with their wrestling. And well-deserved, Bianca Belair wins the SmackDown Women's Championship. This is a 5 out of 5 Toros match. It was truly incredible. It was very inspiring, and those two deserve the accolades, and they deserve everything that came out of that match. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful fucking match. It was beautiful. That's it. I mean, I really don't have anything else to say. It was beautiful. Just watch it. Just watch it. Watch it. Let's get into night 2 of WrestleMania. So, night 1 already set the bar up really, really, really high. So I was really looking, if night 1 was like that, I was really looking forward to what night 2 was going to look like. And they were going to start off night 2 with Randy Orton going up against The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And it started out not how I expected. Alexa Bliss coming out with that big-ass Bray in a box? Fiend in a box, I think we can call it. And The Fiend restored to all of its glory pre-being burned. I was a little confused with the end. The end was bad. I did not understand it. I don't understand it now. I didn't understand it then. I might eventually understand it later when we find out. But Bray Wyatt lost. Randy Orton pinned him. And it was because of a distraction from Alexa Bliss. That already set my tone. I was already pissed off at the ending of that match. Maybe I'll get an explanation later tonight. The first Raw after WrestleMania. We might get some answers tonight. But I did not like the way how it started. So I am going for a 2 out of 5 Toros for that match. It was fucking stupid. Now, the Women's Tag Team Championship. Current champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler going up against the winners of the Tag Team Turmoil from Night 1, Natalya and Tamina. It was a very good, hard-hitting match. A lot of good power display, a lot of good technical wrestling from Natalya, as always. A lot of nice brawling and attempts of submission from Shayna Baszler. I was not happy with the result. All the work that Natalya and Tamina actually put together into the tag team, and then winning the tag team turmoil only to have lost at WrestleMania. This would have been a great opportunity for Natalya and Tamina to both get titles on the grandest stage of them all. And I was not happy with the result. The match was terrific. The match was great. I would have to say I would give this a 3.5 out of 5 Toros, though. Just simply because of the result. Okay. So, remember night 1 where I actually said that you really should watch the Cesaro versus Seth Rollins match? Well, for night 2, the match that you really need to freaking watch is Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. these two guys wrestled against each other for so many years, so you always expect an amazing match between the two of them. Night 2 was no different. This was a phenomenal fucking match. Kevin Owens defeated Sami Zayn via pinfall, courtesies of a stunner. I have to give this match a 4.5 out of 5 Toros. Just watch the match. Study the match. It was a really, really good match. The next one is for the United States Championship, where the champion, Riddle, went up against the challenger, Sheamus. I said before that I was really, really proud of Riddle becoming the United States champion. I also said that I thought it was a little too soon for him to become the United States champion. The decision to actually have Riddle lose the belt against Sheamus was probably a really good decision. Plus, it was Sheamus' time for a singles run with the belt. So I think they really did a good job here telling a story in the match. There was a lot of great wrestling, a lot of great moves in the ring, especially that freaking... It wasn't even a Spanish fly. It was like a belly-to-belly suplex from the top rope with Riddle falling on top of him at the same time. So it was like a belly-to-belly suplex slam. If you can really think about it like that, just watch the match and you'll understand what I mean. But it was a really, really good match. I have to give that a 4 out of 5 Toros. Oh boy. Now the next match. The Intercontinental Championship match where Big E, the champion, went up against Apollo Crews in a Nigerian drum fight match, which is another way of actually saying a no disqualification match. Fully didn't understand why they had to call it a Nigerian drum fight when the drums weren't playing. There was nobody out there hitting each other with drums. The drums were just there. Somebody threw somebody into the drums. That was pretty much about it. So, but I had a really, really big, humongous feeling that Apollo Crews was going to come out as the winner. I just didn't know how he was going to win the championship. And then I'd see that gargantuan of a beast come out. I know who he is. He wrestled in WWN and Evolve as Babatunde. For those of you who have been watching WWE Underground, he was there as Dabakato, I believe it was his name. So the fact when I saw his ass come out and help Apollo Crews defeat Big E so Apollo can actually win the Intercontinental Championship, it all made sense, and I was supremely happy with that result. Apollo Crews and Babatunde, as he will always be known to me, both had a really great WrestleMania moment. That match also is going to have to be a 4 out of 5 Toros match. Now, Raw Women's Championship match. The champion Asuka going up against the challenger Rhea Ripley. You all know I am a humongous Asuka fan. If it hasn't been clear just how much of an Asuka fan I am, I knew her as Kana before she became Asuka. That's how far back I go. She is an incredible, charismatic, technical brawler. Love Asuka. Rhea Ripley has reinvented herself and has become the best fucking version of Rhea Ripley I have ever seen. And I really wanted Rhea Ripley to win. What better way of the passing of the torch but to have Rhea Ripley defeat Asuka via pinfall to become the new Raw Women's Champion. Holy shit. I was really happy with that. She pinned her with no outside interference, no brass knucks, no cheating or anything of the sort. Well deserved, Rhea Ripley. Very, very proud of you. Also very, very proud of Asuka for performing that well for this entire time. Even after getting your teeth kicked out. 4.5 out of 5 Toros was probably what I can easily say about that match. Alright, let me start stretching here because I got a lot of fucking shit to talk about regarding the Universal Championship match. Right off the bat, I will basically say what I truly feel about each of the wrestlers. I have nothing but love for Roman Reigns. Always have, always will. Same for Edge, same for Daniel Bryan. Each of them I love in a very different way. Love Daniel Bryan for being such a technical expert in the ring. Edge for being supremely charismatic and agile. Roman Reigns just for being a big shit brick house, man. He's the strongest human being I've ever known. And I'm not talking about the character of Roman Reigns, but I'm talking also about the person behind Roman Reigns. With everything that he's had to go through in his past with the cancer. So all of these guys, loved everything about them. What I didn't like was the ending of the match. Now, Roman Reigns has always looked extremely strong. That's the whole purpose of Roman Reigns. To be the head of the table, you have to be smart, you have to be fast, you have to be strong. But he hasn't been winning the matches by himself. His right-hand man has been helping him retain his belt. And it's bullshit. It's like, I get that it's the whole heel thing, but it's just really taking away, personally, it's taking away any reason for me to think that he can actually do it on his own. And he had always been able to do it on his own. Now he's like, okay, I need somebody to help me keep my position as head of the table. So, not cool. The match was great. I really would have loved to have seen Edge win the belt that he never really truly lost, that he had to give up. Daniel Bryan's performance was spectacular. All things considering, I was actually kind of a little surprised that Daniel Bryan was actually using the headbutts when he pretty much said that he needed to change a lot of his style when it didn't involve using the headbutts or the diving headbutts as well. And then getting a concerto as well. That was a little shocking to me. But the match in general, short of the finish, was great. It was absolutely phenomenal. Didn't like the result on it. Didn't like how they're making Roman Reigns look so weak that he needs somebody else to help him out to win his fights. So all in all, I have to give this a 4.5 out of 5 Toros. So for the entire WrestleMania, I'm going to be completely honest, this lived up higher, the highest expectation of a WrestleMania in a really long time. And I am happy to say that WrestleMania 37 gets a 4.5 out of 5 Toros. And I think that's the highest I've ever given it in quite some time. So there you have it, guys. I hope you really liked my opinions on what I thought on the matches and which matches you should really be checking out. It's really great to be able to do these podcasts again. I really missed you guys very, very much. I do have something in the works. I really don't want to say too much about it because usually when I do, they fall through. But I would stay tuned to my social media. Hopefully by the end of this week, you'll be able to hear some news about me and a possible partnership with an independent professional wrestling company in the area. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Love you guys very, very much. This is El Toro signing off. Y'all be safe now.